to update sound. Get that going. Plug in headphones so I can hear it. We've got what we got. Stream Decker's already updated. So let's double check that. Looks good. Signed up for the preliminary 5 minutes. Alright. So, by popular demand, we're playing Fedjkee's Grixis. I guess we would call it Delver. Maybe. It's Grixis Shadow, but instead of like the Gurmag Angler Street Wraith package Thought Scour, we're running Delver of Secrets, Scourge of the Skyclaves, Playset of Bolts, and Lurrus as our companion. So a little bit lower to the ground in terms of not as many 7 drops, but we'll see how it plays out. I did play this deck through a league 2 days ago. I guess it was Saturday night, and then did end up trophying with it. I might record that, or record over that gameplay with some audio later. We'll see. But it's a cool list. It's a little more proactive with like Delver of Secrets as a turn 1 potential threat. We're not cutting on hand disruption. We're not cutting on cheap interaction. We're just cutting out some of the cantrip suite, like the Thought Scours. My experience with the list so far is the league that I played through was cool. Like, things went kind of smoothly. Nothing felt particularly overpowered or explosive, but the deck works well together. So I'm hoping that'll kind of be the case again today. Things will go smoothly. Dogfish, nice. The Delver hype. Mike just casually trophies with the list the first time. I wouldn't say casually. Like, it took a few plays. Dork Throne is coming in here to ask you how you felt about this Delver list, and now I just get to see you pilot it. So let's see. We've got, how much time? 3 minutes before the start. I was saying that I did play it through a league 2 days ago. I think it's this one. Yeah, like I did somehow trophy with it. So like it's a cool list for sure. And like I was saying, I might go back through and just record audio over this league. Just to kind of show. But it felt like all of my wins, outside of like one, were just playing fetches, shocks, shadows, scourges, things like that. Like, I don't know how much of an impact Delver made. But I appreciate that it's an additional turn 1 threat. Like, it is pretty good at turning on scourges. But takes blind flipping a lot of the time. Traw match was one of the matches that the Delver Nut made a difference. It did. It absolutely did. But, like, how much of that was luck? Because it was a turn 1 Delver blindly flip into, like, a Thoughtseize or something. Like, it wasn't a setup. It wasn't... It was a luck play. Like, even if it happened and Delver made the play happen, I can't really say it was intentional. Like, I wanted it to happen, but I recognize that there's going to be a percentage of the times that it doesn't work out that it doesn't work out that way. But what I might do is like mess around with the list a little bit. We've seen a big rise in Lavamancer. Like, what about that over some Delvers? And, like, keep the Lurrus theme going and just swap some pieces here and there. But either way, we got 40 seconds till the first round. Who's in here with us? McWinsauce, Rimp, Lapless Jan. But yeah, like I said, I think that the list is cool. I just wonder if it's broken enough for Modern. Is it unfair enough? Well, this isn't keepable. This is better. What am I throwing back? I think I'm just throwing back Scourge here, honestly. Well, it's either Scourge or Shadow. If I hit the second land, I probably want to throw back the Shadow, because Scourge will close the game out quicker. So let's go with that. Then Delver versus Inquisition on turn 1. I think I have to go Delver, but we can take a look at what our opponent's playing. Field of Ruin. So if I see Field of Ruin, I immediately think like taxes. So if I play Delver into a Giver of Runes, it's gonna feel really bad. If I get to soft stub an Aether Vial, that might be like the only chance that I get. Like, I'm assuming Yorion taxes, because I see Yorion and I've seen Field of Ruin. Yeah. We'll just go with the Delver. If they have Vial, or if they or if Delver flips, then it's good. Delver into Delver. Got it. Delverception. We're just gonna jam Delvers. We're committed on the Delver plan. Let's see, Biscotti, you could have bobbled yourself, so you can stack Delver and bobble trigger in a way there are more chances of flipping Delver. You could. Definitely could. Alright, Delvers, do your thing. Delver Beats, what year is it? The year of our Lord 2021. Let me turn this light on. A little dark in here. Alright. I don't have any lands, but I've got 3 Delvers. Is that gonna be enough? Here's a Scalding Tarn. Opponent, I've got literal nothing but these Delvers. I'm just gonna hope that you can't answer them. You got it. So I really need you to not have, like, multiple, Flicker Wisps. I figure you got at least one. Or Skyclave. That works too. Carry on, opponent. Alright. Do you have answers? Yeah, there's a bunch of things they can have that mess me up. There's also a bunch of things they can have that don't, so... Oh, if their last card is Restoration Angel. Oh, man, that would suck. Yep. Restoration Angel. The Devil. Not really anything else I'm interested in. Maybe the Brutality. I guess EE is probably okay as an out to Auriok champion. I mean, it's not really blown out, right? Like, I literally couldn't do anything else. I couldn't cast spells. I couldn't hold back, or I was going to lose to the Restoration Angel anyway. It's just their 80-card Yorion deck finding their out right there. Alright. Game 2. What do we got? Second verse just like the first. So this is kind of the play that Fedjkeee was talking about. We bobble ourselves. We see a non-creature spell on top. So we're going to put the bobble trigger to draw onto the stack first. So we resolve the Delver. Delver sees Thought Seize. We get to flip that and then draw into our spell. Delver Plan 2.0 indeed. Like, this is our thing. This is our MO. Really want to see a land here, surprisingly. But that actually, yeah, that's probably like best draw right there. Now we get to like Thought Seize and play another Delver. So I guess we're gonna take Apparition. Take Apparition, dismember the Stoneforge. That way they can't cheat in a Batter Skull. They don't have anything to maul up to make it bigger. If they want a path, we get a basic island and we get to double Delver next turn. Or that. I guess that's okay. Viking, how's it going? We are currently in the first round of the preliminary. So not too much to say just yet. All right. It's a pretty good pickup out of them. What's best draw here? Fatal Push. Alright, so let's say I attack with bow. They block, put in Batter Skull, take 3, go to 3, go to 2 off the clearing. I could cast the K return. They have to put in Batterskull. I attack with Scourge. They have to block with Batterskull. Is that my best line? Like, force them into the Batterskull block? Alright, so let's see. Option number 1, attack with just the Scourge. They block, put in Batterskull. Option number 2, attack with just the Apparition. They take the 3, go to 2 to put in Batterskull. Untap. Flash in, or put in Maul. Equip it to the Batterskull. And then I'm like, not winning that race because every time they hit me and block, Scourge is shrinking. I can attack with both. They block with Stoneforge on Scourge, put in Batterskull, take the Apparition. Next turn, hard cast Maul. So I think it's K return, kill my Aberration in the Stoneforge, attack with Scourge. Because if he puts in anything other than Batterskull, I just kill him with the Scourge. So he has to put in Batterskull. We attack, we get the Germ token out of the way, and then he's got to spend a turn bouncing the Batterskull. Yeah. He could put out Maul if you only attack the Apparition. He could, but he'd have to tap down the Stoneforge to do it. So he'd just be like, no blocks, or no blockers. This has to be put in Batterskull. So. Let's play out U so he doesn't get any crazy ideas during combat about Tech Edge. Attack. Say go. He could Ghost Core himself to flash it in. The only way he would get Maul down though is with Stoneforge. And like that doesn't really do anything. Okay. Bloodstain Mire. Alright, so it's a free attack with both. He has to block the Scourge. Am I going Luris? Get basic swamp off of this. No, I'm just being a dumbass and forgetting how the card works. I wouldn't say being a dumbass. Oh, man. I think we're going to lose this one because we ripped those 2 lands there. So now he gets to suit up Auriok Champion and kill us. That didn't do anything. Yeah, so now he gets to strap up Auriok Champion with the Fire and Ice. Gary Dubs, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic, what is it, Monday morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. It is Monday, right? He doesn't attack. Why do you not attack there? I'm literally dead on board. Oh, Blood Crypt. Blood Crypt, what are you doing? So this is free life game, right? Alright, so his last card's Maul. And I know it's Maul. So if I'm attacking with everything, he has to block the Scourge. Which means I'm gaining up to 7, so I'm not dying to Auriok Champion on the crackback. Or I guess I am with Maul. But I can counter the Maul. Okay. So that means I'm going Bobble here. Yes. The Delver doesn't matter. I want to see extra cards. Why not check top with Bobble and upkeep, if not spell crack fetches? Because I needed to find a way to live on his turn. Like, I should be dead right now. So my next upkeep shouldn't have mattered. But my opponent gave me an out here by not killing me there. Like, I need to draw spells on his turn. I need to draw these cards as soon as possible. If I wait until my next turn, again, if I didn't have the drown, I would be dead. And drawing them on my next turn doesn't do anything. I wonder if they just forgot about, like, the Sword of Fire and Ice trigger. Like, maybe they recognized that they could attack through and just forgot about the 2 damage going to my face last turn. I feel like that's what happened. Alright. That should hopefully be good enough. They flash in Flicker Wisp here. Archon. Alright, we'll just kill... Or no, we can't play another spell. That's fine, right? Like, we're still just attacking for lethal. Yeah. Ooh. That shouldn't have gone down that way. There's a decent chance our opponent's kicking themselves over that missed lethal. I guess I'd rather have Bobble than, like, extra Thought Seize against the Vile deck. I think I'd rather Thought Seize and cut an Inquisition. Just because of Yorion, Batterskull. Get wrecked, you protection from everything, Chungus. Oh, man. Alright, on the draw. I've seen much worse hands on the draw. We'll roll with it. That didn't make it better. So let's get Steam Vents, Clay Delver. See if we can blind flip this bad boy so we can get down Scourge on turn 2. What did they get? Batterskull. Alright, so you do get to flip Delver. Now we have to take damage output into consideration. If I go Serum Inquisition, they spend their next turn putting in Batterskull. Then I can't. Alright, so I Serum Inquisition. They put in Batterskull. I attack for 3, put them down to 14. Scourge comes out as a 6/6. They Batterskull, hit me. Scourge becomes a 2/2 because I can't block it. I'm like losing that race hard to Batterskull. So I need to play Scourge, or not, yeah, I need to play Scourge here. And Serum next turn. And try to hit removal. The reason being is if I hit the removal, I need Scourge to connect. Alright, so now I've got draw into removal. So I get to Serum, get my Scries. We'll go top. Serum to draw into those Scries. I want all of these things. Let's go. Let's draw into the second Fatal Push. And we'll crack him with both. They Stoneforge in Batter Skull, yep. Germ Token gets Fatal Pushed. Hit in for 6. And say go. Yeah. Am I just fatal pushing this Arbiter? I think that I am. That way they have to block with the Stoneforge. And I'm drawing into a Drown in the Lock. Skyclave Apparition would be a little annoying here. Yeah, I kind of figure if they had an Apparition, they would have cast it last turn. So let's see how clear the coast is. Not very. Thalia. Alright, am I trading Aberration for Flicker Wisp? Yes. So this clears the board and means that I've got Drown in the Lock for anything that's not a 3-drop this turn. So I'm pretty sure their out is exactly Skyclave Apparition. Flicker Wisp buys them a turn, but I think Skyclave is the only out. Alright. Let's update the stream title. Okay. Whew. So that serum did bring the heat. Very nice. Wagner, Todd Anderson did an article about this deck in finals last year. But that time this deck didn't win anything. And now we have a champion last weekend with the deck. So it's kind of like the cycle, right? Like decks are better or worse positioned year after year. This year they've also got access to Scourge of the Skyclaves. Like, this is a pretty big update for the deck in terms of power level. The issue with Delver itself in Modern has been twofold. Like, one, you don't have the free disruptive elements like Force of Will and Daze to back it up, plus Wasteland. You don't have Brainstorm to, like, reliably flip it. So those are all pretty big drawbacks. So you need to be able to, like, take advantage of that Delver tempo to close out the game. And Scourge kind of acts on that regard. Like, now you've got strong turn 1 into turn 2 play, where Legacy really has to leverage the counter spells a lot more. Uh, Nigerian Prince. Fantastic username, by the way. Trademarked. Wanted to play the fetch for Vile Response, probably. Well, yes and no. Like, they didn't have any cards in hand when we were passing the turn. They had to tick Vile up to 3. Because, like I said, their only out is Skyclave Apparition. So, if they did happen to draw a Leonin Arbiter and play it out, we don't care. It's just chumping. Like, all it's doing is seeing them another draw step. Meant when opponent Valadin Thalia. No, because again, even if it was Arbiter, like, it's still chump blocking, right? So, there's not really anything that's getting Valadin there that we particularly care about. Like, another Stoneforge or something, maybe we drowned it, but if it was an Arbiter, we're swinging through it regardless. Like, I'd rather save that Drown in the Loch for a way that they're getting my Scourge of the Skyclaves off the board. I don't really want to use it to clear out a blocker on a non-guaranteed lethal attack. Because if they did have an Arbiter and I fetched in response to the Vile, drowned the Arbiter, they still just block the Scourge with the Flicker Wisp and see another draw anyway. And if they top deck like a Path there, then I'm not dead. I still have a Delver, but my clock and my pressure is dropped pretty significantly. Let's see. Hell yeah, we caught a little love in game 2 from opponent. Delver was hot in this matchup. What did we see? 10 Delver? Did we see? We saw 3 in game 1. All 4 in game 2. And then 1 in game 3. So we saw 8 Delver in 3 games. Is that right? Could be misremembering Delver numbers. But yeah, Delver did show out a little bit that game. Felt good after I'm not saying I trash talked Delver. I'm just saying that I have been a what's a good word? Not strong opponent, but non-believer of Delver's presence in Modern. You doubted him. I said non-believer of his presence. That's not so much saying I doubted him as I don't think it's ever been like the best position threat. And like, I still don't believe it is. I just think that it gets a pretty big power bump because you're following it up with a really proactive 2-drop in the Grixis colors. Now, a Delver Skeptic, yes. That's a good way of putting it, a Delver Skeptic. So if those were Gurmags who would just be mulling harder, yes. Like, game 1 when we kept Watery Grave, Delver. It was like Watery Grave, Delver, Inquisition, Bauble. I don't think we could have kept that with a Gurmag Angler. Delver's so much worse than in Legacy, so I'm with you on that one. Right. Like, Delver just has never had the supporting cast in Modern to be a preeminent, like, turn 1 play. And all I'm saying is the reason that it's good in this deck is not because you suddenly have that supporting cast. It's just that you have a more proactive turn 2 play. Like, you can't really delve into a lot of stuff in Modern, but you can delve into a Scourge. Isn't that the reason why we play it? Like, are we playing Delver because of Scourge? Like, to set up Scourge? Like, I didn't make the list, so I can't make all of the assumptions there. But I would say Delver is a reason, or Scourge is a reason to play Delver in the list. I was taking a look at, like, what it would look like with some number of Lavamancer or something else over the Delver. Whether it works or not, no idea, but it's always worth checking out options, right? Exactly. In Grixis, there are a few alternatives. Very, very true. And I've told how much I hate the line of turn 1, bolt your opponent to turn on Scourge of the Skyclaves. Wagner, last night I had chosen this deck for deck redemption. Well, now you get to choose a different deck. See? I'm here for you. I'm here for the crowd. Swifty's an option. Oh, is our match already started? Whoops. Swifty is an option. I don't know if it's any better in this kind of deck than it is in, like, the Rakdos versions, which I still don't think it's good in those versions, but Amulet. Flagstones. That's a spicy one. That's a spicy meatball. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to, like... now I have to... God, Scourge, I hate you so much. Like, now I have to kill this. And I have to Thought Seize my opponent. Which means my turn 3 is now, like, put Luris into the hand. I can't even, I can't even play out Scourge. Who made this deck? How about a Shadow off the top, Mishra's Bauble. Probably wouldn't turn down a Delver. Spaz, Serum Visions, and Opt aren't as good as Ponder and Brainstorm, right? Delver is better in Legacy because of those cards. Definitely better with Brainstorm for sure. I think the Delver slot could probably be something better because it's inherently weaker in this format. Death Shadow and Scourge are inherently stronger in Modern because of Fetch and Shock. Agreed on all cases. Like, I don't think we're in any argument whatsoever on those points. I think there could certainly be more impactful turn 1 plays. Like, I'm wondering if I would rather have Grim Lavamancer in that slot. If my opponent doesn't play a creature, I can just attack for 1 and play Scourge. If they do play a creature, opening yourself up to that, start killing something every turn line could be nice. Lavamancer is a lot less impactful in multiples, but in this list we don't have like Gurmag anglers competing for graveyard resources. Lurrus is kind of the only thing. Like, this is so bad. Oh, please just play out a Dryad. Please play out a Dryad. Mm-hmm. Does this mean second flagstones in hand? I'm a genius sometimes, I know. Don't have to tell me. Lava Man does take continuous mana investment though, which on some hands could be pretty tough. You're not wrong, but it can also give you a really big advantage in the creature matchups. And that's not something to ignore for sure. Alright, let's see how this is going to go down. So their last card in hand is a Selesnya Sanctuary. Which means I do want to play out this Scourge. Because unless they find a way to lose life, or to play an extra land, they can't play Sanctuary, pick up Fountain, replay Fountain. If they do, like if they find an Explorer or something, then I get to hit them again next turn and replay Scourge from the graveyard. So I believe that is fine. And I'm just going to hold this land in hand for the moment. 2 Grims in the main would be killer against Heliod and Vile decks. Company decks, you're correct. Yeah, Vesuva would work, but I still get to like hit them next turn if it's a Vesuva. Replay Scourge from the graveyard. But I agree, like I do just have to play it. Can't sit here and not play my Scourge. Flip a Delver. Flip a Delver. Come on, Delver. Titan works too. Well, if we're just naming all the things I'm dead as hell to anyway. No. Delver, thou hath failed me. Hiya, opponent. Yep. So, for all of you Legacy aficionados, we get to see the Delver Scry love. For anybody that doesn't know, Delver of Secrets is basically a build-your-own Scry. I get to look at my top card with Delver, see if it's something that I want to reveal. In this case, it is. So I know I get to flip Delver, and then I get to Hiya in. Alright, so I've got lethal next turn if my opponent doesn't find a way to kill me now. Please no Titan. Alright. this is make a plant and pass, then they're dead. Kill that one. Alright. Whew. Wait, Delver didn't flip immediately? That's so strange. I know, right? Like, Delver, what you doing? You gotta carry your weight, buddy. Alright, Aether Gust, Disdainful Stroke. All pretty solid. Keep Titan off the boards. Gust can deal with Dryads. K Command's an option. It's a little less exciting here. We can bring in Kozilek's Return and Engineered Explosives for their Field of the Dead token. Oh, wait. Play fair, you Titan decks. Alright. Might have been a little harsh to the Titan decks. Let's cut a couple of pushes. Drown is eh. Probably just not bring in K commands. Alright. Now I can hear the music. It's all dancy. Make sure you have an upkeep stop. Did I not? If I don't, then you're right. But I was pretty much just relying on the Delver trigger to be my upkeep stop. It's probably a terrible idea, right? Magic Online and whatnot. Let's see. Is Stream Decker acting up a little bit? See somebody looking for the deck list. Yeah, sometimes Stream Decker gets a little finicky and tries to like leave the chat, and you have to go wrap it back. Like, come on back, Stream Decker. All right. Engineered Explosives on one. So, since they can't play a turn to, what's it called? Dryad. Yeah, good call, Leviathan, on the upkeep stop. Look how this turn one Delver wins the game. Ah, no. Yeah, but if my opponent's like playing EE on one, that means if I draw a Scourge, it's a lot better. And it's not that I'm just like fantastic with that trade-off, but it's not the worst in the world. And if they want to like blow this EE now on this Delver, yeah, you got it. Alright, second land's really good. So let's go see what you're up to. Alright, so I'm gonna take a Titan here. I'm hoping that they'll just like, or I guess they can't third land Summoner's Pact. Let's be mana efficient. Delver's surprisingly a nice one there. That means I can stub this pact if they go for like a Dryad here. Alright, so they got this, a Titan, and 2 unknowns. Do not. Teamer Battle Rage. It's not the best draw, but I'm definitely going to reveal it. Alright, so they need an untapped green source to be able to Titan next turn. Gotta stop saying things like that. Well, Delver flips. I'm surprised as well. I thought this was just like a vanilla 1-mana 1/1. Attacking with Merfolk with the Pearl Trident for the win always feels good. Is there any particular reason it feels good? It's gonna bog me. It's not nice. Okay. Okay, opponent. You clearly wanted this game more than I did. It's okay. It's okay, I understand. Don't think we're changing up anything. We just need like a good proactive hand. Does this count as a good proactive hand? I guess. Like, I want to see both lands and ways to flip Delver. Is that... Yes. I've got no graveyard opponent. But they can't purge our Delver. Why? I mean, like, why'd they bring in Purge, or why did we scoop that game that they were very clearly going to kill us in? All right. Whew. We need to find a second land. We need to find second land muy quickly. Second land. So close. So close and yet so very, very far. Second tireless tracker. Alright. So we've got a Thoughtseize this turn. Get this Titan out of hand. If I don't serum and hit a land, am I winning this game? I Thoughtseize, I go to 12. They draw 2 cards. I think I have to serum. Like, I think I have to hit the land, or I'm just so far behind. Yeah, I really don't think we have an option there. Yep. So unfortunately, Scourge is smaller than Titan now. Hey. Lands. Guy coming in with the 7-month resub. Thank you so much. Appreciate the continued continued stub port. That was clever. What's up? Enjoy continued access to all of our sweet custom Death Shadow emotes. Alright, do I have an out? Doesn't feel like it. Transmute 2S, pack for another Titan. Sure. Alright. That actually kills me. They go get 2 Valakuts here. Deal 6 to my face, and then play, or deal 12 to my face, yeah. Both Valakuts see both Valakuts entering. Oh, second land! Second land! Why doth thou curse me so? Of course, subscription was on auto-renew, which is something I, of course, always knew how to do. Of course. Like, who wouldn't know how to auto-renew? Let's see, the 14. Hey dude, how's it been feeling? I ran this list through a couple leagues last night. Not too sure how I feel about it yet. Also had so many games I never found a second land as well. Yeah, like having 17 lands with no thought scours in addition to your baubles is a little rough. Like you're cutting out a lot of that turn 1 cantrip power. because that's just like part of the list, is you want to be as land light as possible. But yeah, I played the list through a league Saturday night and trophied with it. The thing I've seen, or I guess my opinion on the list so far, is it's been technically 18 lands, yes, with Academe. Actually, the best land to flip to Delver. We found that out. I think that the list is, I guess if I had to describe it, a synergistic use of underpowered Magic cards. Like, I think that the pieces of the deck go pretty well together, but there's nothing really explosive or unfair about the list. Like, it's very straightforward in what it does. I'm going to use cheap creatures, get on the board, pressure your life total, chips at a time until I can get a Scourge or a Shadow, do bigger chips. I'm going to have cheap removal for your creatures, cheap interaction for your spells. But, like I said, there's nothing about it that's just, like, broken or doing anything crazy. Like, you're going to have Shadow in a deck without Street Wraith, which is normal. Or normal nowadays. Scourge in a deck without, like, 1-drop haste threats or prowess threats. But you've got Delver. So there's a lot of pros to the list. But all of the wins, even when, like, the deck operates how it's supposed to, have felt like they're pretty close margins. Like, you don't have those turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Thoughtseize Shadow, turn 3 Dismember Your Threat Battle Rage hands. Like, you should have them, but if you're focusing on, like, Delvers and things, they don't show up as much. It's like now, instead of playing turn 1 Thoughtseize, you kind of want to play turn 1 Delver. Or instead of having, like, Scour into Gurmag to dodge Fatal Push, Skyclave Apparition, Abrupt Decay, like, now you've got Delver. Like, I'm still kind of a fan of the idea that I don't think Scourge is great without, like, the aggressive 1-drops. Like, Delver's definitely more of a tempo 1-drop than an aggressive one. I think I'd like to see the Serum Vision count bumped up to 4. And something like a push, maybe a push and a Drown dropped for those two. Or a push and an Inquisition, something like that. Let's see. Gotta support good content, and until I find it, this'll do. Same. Gotta support whatever terrible Shadow videos I can put out. I understand. I know my place. I'll do my quick little call to action before I forget. If you're hanging out at the channel, this is your first time here, and you're liking the content, enjoying the terrible commentary and some of the gameplay, maybe, who knows, feel free to follow. Doesn't cost you anything, just lets you know whenever we go live, so you can come hang out. Usually playing a whole lot of Modern, and especially a lot of Death Shadow. Trying out new lists, testing individual cards. You can see everything over here, bits and pieces. Test out, like, old builds and new builds and builds from people who have done very well in recent events, and really good streamers, really good players, meme lists, and color options you've never considered for Shadow. All sorts of wild stuff. So, always recommend coming and hanging out. Mike's got a family. He needs to eat too. You're right. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten in weeks. As I sit here staring at an unopened box of Time Spiral Remastered. Bant Shadow with smallpox when? When somebody comes through with a donation for Bant Shadow with smallpox. Please no. Please don't do that. I beg of thee. Let's see. What would Bant Shadow with small... Oh, guy, I hope you know I found a whole bunch of these in my stack of Time Spiral Remastered stuff last night. And thought of you. And it's like, I guess I gotta pull this card aside now and keep track of all my Dark Heart slivers. For those of you who don't know, Dark Heart Sliver is 1 and a green for a 2/2 sliver. It says all slivers have sacrifice this permanent, you gain 3 life. So, guy was thinking about trying one out in the sideboard of 4-color Shadow as a traverse target against like burn. And so now I've got to go and like find all my Dark Heart slivers, because if guy's gonna test it out and it ends up working, then Lord knows I gotta have some Dark Heart slivers. Much as I hate to say that. So now I've got to go back through this Time Spiral Remastered stuff and find Dark Heart slivers. Thanks, guy. Honestly, I don't think it'll be great, but I'm going to try it. That's like the basis for every test card ever, right? Like, how many cards have we tried on the channel that we didn't think were going to be great and probably weren't, but it's what we're here to do, right? Try things out. Ah, there's another one. What would be a good example of that? I don't want to say Hex Parasite, because Hex Parasite was great. Hex Parasite won me a ton of games trying it out. And for whatever reason, everybody thought it was a meme. Like, oh yeah, Hex Parasite, that's pretty cute. Yeah, it is pretty cute as I remove Blast Zone counters from my opponent and pay a whole bunch of life to make sure this battle rages. Grow my shadows bigger than theirs in the mirror. Like, this card's fantastic. Alright. I'm like 1 Dark Heart away from the playset. Come on, box of stuff. Don't let me down. Surely there's one more Dark Heart sitting in here somewhere. But yeah, for the for this Delver list, I don't know necessarily what I think it's missing, because it's funny, like, what's the difference between this and a typical Grixis list? 4 Delvers instead of 4 Gurmag Anglers. Then like 4 Scourges instead of 4 Street Wraiths. So you're a little bit happier seeing like Delver and Scourge in multiples as opposed to Gurmag Angler. But as we saw in that matchup last round against Amulet, we had Scourge draws that were really, 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 really awkward. And that's just like one of the reasons that the card has never impressed me that much. It's good, and I think a lot of the times it's the best threat that we have access to. It's grown on me a lot more than initially, so I have to admit that part. But it's still a threat that's like so dependent on other things going right for it to be good. Like, you either have to have the right matchup, you have to have the right turn 1 play to get it rolling. It's just a lot of what ifs. And I think that the card gets significantly better the less number of what ifs you have to answer. It's like, if you're able to say, alright, my game plan involves turn 1, proactive threat, like haste creature, something like that. Turn 2, Scourge. Then that drops a lot of the what ifs out of the equation. Like, I don't have to worry, what if my opponent is playing a deck that doesn't lose life naturally? But when your what if involves, like, Delver, and you can't reliably get that turn 1 attack in, like, alright, we saw against Taxes, where we had, like, Delver or Inquisition on turn 1 in the blind against a Yorion deck. And it's like, alright, well, what if they're on 5-color Niv to Light? Well, then Delver's a lot better, and we need to get the Scourge online as soon as possible. Alright, well, what if we're against Taxes, and we play a Delver, and they play a Giver of Runes, and our Delver doesn't flip? Well, now our Scourge is dead, and just not doing anything, sitting in hand. But with the haste decks, or the decks with, like, Monastery Swiftspear, stuff like that, you kind of get to say, like, alright, I'm going to play the Swiftspear on 1, and I'm going to get the attack in regardless. Doesn't matter if you're losing life or not. I'm going to play a threat, and I'm going to get an attack in, and Scourge is going to be live turn 2. Wonder if a foil Harmonic Sliver's worth anything. Didn't really look at my foils. Not a big fan of the F word. Foil. Is it old bordered? No. No, it is not. All the old bordered cards are crazy expensive. I've got an unplayable 3-cent common that's like $60. Talking about like a foil old border card. So I think I've got, or I only have two foil old border cards, like a Farseek and an Evolutionary Leap. Pretty sure that's it. Scourge just had so many feel goods and so many feel bads. Shadow creature variants just seems like an unescapable problem. Yes and no. Like, the strength of Shadow, Death Shadow itself, and Gurmag Angler have always been that they're both very proactive to enable. Like, Shadow comes online from you just playing fetch lands
Thought Seizes, Dismembers, Street Wraith in some builds. And because of that, it's not too difficult to get them online and get the ball rolling. Gurmag Angler comes online from you just playing Magic. You cast your Hand Disruption, you cast your cantrips, you interact with your opponent, cast your removal, cast your Stubborn Denials, and Gurmag Angler's going to come online because of that. Like, you'll have builds that run Mishra's Bauble and Thought Scour to kind of speed up the process, but there's a reason that decks like Grixis Control have historically run like Tasigur, or Grixis Control and Legacy run like Gurmag Angler sometimes without any copies of Thought Scour. And it's just because, like, those cards are going to come online eventually. But with, like, Scourge, you have to do this thing that you can't control, which is lower your opponent's life total. Like, alright, if I've got cheap aggressive creatures, I can increase the chances of lowering my opponent's life total, but I can never guarantee it. If I've got burn spells, I can lower my opponent's life total, but I can't guarantee that they won't gain it back. These are just things that, like, I can't control. Kind of on the same level, my opponent can play spells that affect, like, my graveyard against Gurmag Angler. They can play Nihil Spellbomb, Leyline of the Void, whatever. And I may or may not be able to interact with those things. There's not really a ton of ways to make me gain life. Like, for my opponent to cast to make me gain life for Shadow, so that's a little bit less of a realistic concern. But it could happen. But either way, like, those add in another level of the interaction, because, like, I can interact with my opponent's ways of interacting with my graveyard, but it's still that, like, making my opponent lose life is just something that I can try to control, but can't guarantee it. And that's what makes Scourge such a variability a lot of the times, or a variable threat. Inscription of Abundance, get them. Is there a make my opponent gain life mode on this inscription? Target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. So yeah, you could absolutely Inscription of Abundance to kill off, like, all of your opponent's Scourges and Shadows. Is this the tech we need for the mirror? Do I need to go buy some Inscription of Abundances? Alright. Talk me into it. Basically Swords to Plowshares. Basically is. Honestly, might be better than Swords. Are we gonna have to test one of these? Inscription. I skipped over like 4 letters there. It's fine. Sweetheart one's only 0.24. What does this one do? Turn up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Oh, it's 4-mana sorcery. Ugh. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Return target creature CMC 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. Sure, target creature with CMC 3 or less. I think I have a couple of these. Oh, do these cost real money? No. just like over the threshold. Totally gonna. All right, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Inscription of Abundance versus Burn. We just like Fetch Shock, Shadow, Fetch Shock, Fetch Shock, Fetch Shock. That's not lethal, right? Fetch Shock, Shadow. Fetch Shock. Yeah, we're fine. They go to like burn us out. We inscription ourselves. We kill our shadow, but we just gain like 15 life. Gives us like time to set back up, get another shadow down, whatever. Opponent's probably out of cards and crying. You've seen me rock that Inscription of Ruin hotness. I have. I absolutely have. Like, that's half the reason I just picked up 2 of them. Alright, third round is starting in 2 minutes. Turn 1, Inquisition their Eidolon. And Bauble. Turn 2, Fetch and Tarmogoyf. Turn 3, Inscription of Abundance. Good luck, have fun, burn. Easy. Easy. So let's see. Does Inscription of Abundance see itself in the graveyard to grow Tarmogoyf as it resolves? When does it check the power and toughness of Tarmogoyf? My assumption is that it sees Goyf with no instant in the yard. So like, checks on the stack, but they bolted you. Turn 1, checks out. Checks out. You're right. I always forget about the bolt on turn 1. We're 100% trying this. I don't know when. I don't know where. I don't know to what effect. But we're doing it. Or no, they obviously tar-fired us turn 1s. Like, why they were running tar-fire, we don't know. But they absolutely tar-fired us turn 1. Matt, how's it going? Tarfire, that's what I meant. They're all the same. That's 100% what they did. They Tarfired us. They were like, you, over there, with the Tarmogoyf, Tarfire. My match has started. Sure. We played Peanuts in the PTQ last weekend, I believe. I think that was when... was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. When we played him last time, he was either on burn or taxes. I can't remember. What do we got? %, chance he's on taxes. I guess the math checks out. I'm not 100% sure. This could be anything, but what set are these vials from? I know that's like an online only set. And I think there's like lightning bolts from that set. Reddish redeemed hydrate. Got like the very last 4 drops. Does that count? Path on my upkeep. So I could drown my Scourge to be able to get it back, but I think I'm just going to let this path resolve. He's playing Christmas music. Like 8-bit Christmas music. That's pretty hilarious. Oh, I'm not changing it. This is fantastic. I would not dare change this. Alright, am I going Lures plus Bobble? I think I am. I think like I would rather, as much as it pains me to say, I would rather this Luris get apparitioned than the Scourge. Arc, how's Delver doing? Delver is okay. Won us a couple games earlier. It's still like underwhelming in terms of power level, but it's not bad. So I'm back on the vial. I think it's the stupid theme deck version. Is that what it is? Seems like a fine Scourge enabler. Pretty much, yeah. Like, it's okay. It's not great. And I don't think it's meant to be great. But it is fine. I'd imagine Sprite Dragon is better than Delver. Well, they compete for the 2-drop slot, and I think Scourge gets a lot worse in this deck when you're not playing it on turn 2. But we saw, like, turn 1, we had to lightning bolt our opponent to play on out of turn 2 Scourge. And they just pathed it, and, like, now we're down a lightning bolt against taxes. Which is kind of a big deal. Like, I kind of want a lightning bolt here. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to play out a Scourge. Like, at all. And that would be, in the words of my ancestors, no bueno. Alright. What's my plan here? I've got to think about mana constraints because of Thalia. I have to think about the possibility of Skyclave Apparition or Flicker Wisp. I've got to think about getting Scourge down life total I need my opponent to be at next turn. So, I attack with Luris. Let's say they block. Block Violin, or Stoneforge and Batterskull. Am I just playing Skyclave Pass? What if they go block Stoneforge and Batterskull, Aether Violin, Flicker Wisp on the Stoneforge? That'd be really bad for me, right? So... if I start with Push Thalia, I could drown Stoneforge. No. I think like so much changes depending on what happens inside of combat. Alright. So now it becomes, am I casting multiple spells? Because if I am, I need to go for Thalia first. Alright. So Batterskull comes in. I dismember the Batterskull. Or dismember the Germ token. Get my 3 points in here. Or do you have a Skyclave Apparition? I do. Now I need to go Scourge. Play this tapped. I like attacking first to force Vial. Alright, so big key you have to remember there. Attacking first in no way forces Vial. My opponent can absolutely just say, take 3, go to second main phase. So I have to be okay with that. In that case, I was okay with just take 3, go to second main, play Scourge. Which is why I go into combat. But I wouldn't go into combat if my opponent not acting or if my opponent not acting inside of combat wasn't okay there. So what is this attack signal? Main deck, Auriok Champion plus Violin a creature. Block. Like, Auriok Champion blows me out. Maul blows me out. Need a lightning bolt. So with this giver, am I just dead to any crackback with a maul? Yeah. So do I need to play a removal spell on the giver now and try to bluff a removal spell next turn? Flicker Wisp too. Alright. K return. K command. EE. Boarding out. Stubborn denial. And do I want to just board out a Scourge here? I think I boarded out an Inquisition last time, but like they had Restoration Angels and Yorion last time. This one I think is less likely to have Restoration Angels. see. I'm gonna attempt pronunciation. Correct me if I'm wrong. Fedjkeee 97. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you coming and hanging out. Correct me on the pronunciations, please. I need it. But for everybody hanging out today, Electric Bob, thank you so much for the follow as well. Hope you also are having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. For everybody hanging out, appreciate y'all checking out some of this shadow action. If you don't know, we're playing through the Saturday's Modern Challenge winning Grixis shadow list with Delver of Secrets, Scourge of the Skyclaves. Currently 1-1. We beat Taxes round 1, lost to Amulet Titan round 2. But if it's your first time on the channel, if you haven't checked us out before, my name's Michael. Play a ton of Modern, especially a lot of Death Shadow. Always testing out new lists, new cards. Another one of these awkward Scourge hands. Into a no-lander. Do you play Legacy Shadow at all? A little bit. I wouldn't say a ton by any means, but I do like Legacy. If it makes you feel any better, I did play I've played one Legacy GP, and it was with Blue-Black Shadow, and I did day 2 it. I don't really want either of these. Do I have to take Delver to try to turn on Scourge? Nah, I think I'd rather find like a Thoughtseize. Electric Bob is the guy we rated to get 50 followers at one time. Is it? Sweet. Good karma. Alright. Don't want a Delver, draw a Delver. Got it. Just to make sure I didn't misclick. 2 cards on the bottom. Yep. Can confirm. 2 cards on the bottom. 100% day 2 track record with Legacy Shadow is what I'm hearing. You're hearing very different things than what I'm hearing, but technically correct. I'll offer up. Do I want to offer up the trade? If they violin like it. A giver of runes. This is like really bad, right? Yeah. They don't have it. I'm just gonna add Luris to the hand here. Serum Visions and Shadows is 2017. It feels like it, doesn't it? Except for, like, you know, all of these 2020 fire design cards. Like, come on, a 1-mana 3/2 flyer? That's way too good for Modern. Alright, opponent, you're gonna hit me in the face with this thing. My Shadow's already online. You can't stop it now. Card X is this year. Why? Steam Vents. Alright. Show me Dahlia, whatever. opponent kept his hand on the strength of Auriok Champion into Maul of the Skyclaves, I'm impressed. But I'm assuming they've just got, like, multiple Skyclave apparitions here or something. Or Archon. Okay. This is pod racing. So I need to go destroy an artifact, kill Giver. So I want to trade Aberration for this Archon if possible. Why not K-Return? Because Archon and Auriok Champion both live. And I don't want Archon and Auriok Champion to live. Like, all I'm doing is getting a 1-1 off of that. I guess I could have traded there and lured us back to Delver. That probably would have been right. Huh. Can't see on my cell phone. Fair enough. Fair enough. So if I attack, he's not blocking. If I K-Return, I kill everything but Archon, but I lose my Aberration. I could EE on 3. That would let me take out Archon and Skyclave. If I pass, what happens? Have Batter Skull. Best case scenario would be like... What? It's like... God. There's like no good options. Like, if they attack with everything, I block Archon, then K return. If I'm gonna K return, I need to do it before blocks, or before damage, because I don't want to get back this shadow and then have it die. Yep. Bobbling there because we can't double spell anyway. So like the only out I have, I think, is to hit like K command here. But I think there's only one in the deck. Yep. Alright. Like, EE on 0 wipes out their germ and our illusion. So we'd like block there, EE on 0, kill the germ, take 2 off the Archon, our illusion dies, and then we're dead on our next turn and we can only cast 1 spell. So like EE doesn't get us anywhere. Alright, so there's been a running theme in these matches. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but Scourge of the Skyclaves has looked really bad. That being said, we have seen 3 decks that were doing no damage to themselves, but we haven't been playing that proactively. Delver's been the best creature in the deck today. Scourge has been the worst. We've only seen Shadow like once. So, to me, kind of what I'm pulling out of this event so far is Scourge still feels like it's not great without the right enablers, or it's not great without having like a good presence and then following it up with the Scourge to help close out the game. Techno Mage, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday wherever you're at in the world. Like, that's been 3 matches where our opponents have done no damage to themselves, so we've been relying on Delver. It's worth noting that other Scourge decks play more than one playset of non-shadow creatures that can attack on their own, so maybe Sprite is a good call since it's already good with Delver cards and Luris. So, if you were going to add Sprite Dragon to the deck, here's my issue with it. You either have to cut threats or you have to cut spells. If you cut threats, you make your Scourges worse. If you cut spells, you make your Delvers worse. So it's like a fine line to balance there between adding threats and making the deck less synergistic because you added those threats. And like if we're cutting spells, that makes both Delver and Sprite Dragon worse. And kind of like the Dreadhorde Arcanist build that showed up in popularity for a little bit. I think I've got it here somewhere. Yeah, like this build, I don't know why this deck is playing Death Shadow. Like, to me, this is an unnecessary spot. Because you can just play, like, decent spells and not need to aggressively lose the life. Like, you can just play Sprite Dragons and Dreadhorde Arcanist, Croxus, whatever. And since you're not running, like, Battle Rage or Stubborn Denial or anything like that, like, Shadow is just a vanilla creature in here that you can't protect. So I don't think there's any real reason to play Death Shadow in this list. And the way it sounds with Sprite Dragon is you're wanting to move like that direction, and then it's kind of the same thing. Like, Delver is just an enabler in this deck, like Hexes and Jund. I agree, but like today, Delver's been our best threat. Scourge has been atrocious. Yeah, I know he plays Shadow because you deal the damage, and he said you have to play the deck like a control deck, which I get completely, but then it's just like, I don't know, I don't like playing Shadow because of indirect life loss, or like play Shadow because you have a painful mana base. Because then just like traditional Jund would play Shadow, right? I don't like Lavamancer main, and maybe it's because times like that is an enabler. Lavamancer's a threat turn 1. What do you think? I think Lavamancer would be fine. Like, when I talked about potentially messing around with the deck, Lavamancer over Delver was one of the considerations. I don't know what the other changes would be, just kind of like starting thinking out. Sprite is better on its own than Delver because of spells in hand, so maybe Delver just chips and flips eventually while Sprite does the majority of the pulling. Maybe. But then, like, why play Delver? Like, I guess my issue there is you're still playing a lot of underpowered threats for a deck like this. Because, like, with Fatal Pushes and Drown in the Lock, Dismember, Stubborn Denial, like, you're never going to be a proactive Sprite Dragon deck. So you're talking about, like, playing a Sprite Dragon, maybe playing a Bauble, hitting for 2. Next turn, maybe you Inquisition or Thoughtseize, hit for 3. But it's never going to be like a Manamorphose, Lava Dart kind of dragon deck. So it still feels like you're not doing anything that's strong enough to fight with decks that are doing something unfair. Academe works with Delver. This is more Shadow deck, so Fire Outlet can be better as your 18th land. Maybe. But like the life loss is also pretty necessary. If you want to play Sprite and Delver, then it's a different deck. I agree with that part. Like, Sprite and Delver just want to be more proactive, more spell-oriented. This deck, like, if you're running Sprites, you need to start cutting, like, Battle Rages, Stubborn Denials. And then there's just, like, not a reason to lose life and make a big threat at that point. It's like, these cards are here because you're actively trying to lose life and make a big Shadow, big Scourge, and kill them with something like that. And if you're adding in, like, 2 mana, 1/1, 2/2 pingers, it's pretty subpar. Bobble works with Delver to flip it, but doesn't actually flip it. It's come up a few times today where we, like, bobbled on our opponent's end step, stacked our Delver trigger to try to, or Delver and bobble triggers to try to flip Delver. What was round one? Round one was Taxes. Round two was Amulet. And round three was Taxes again. And all 3 rounds, we saw a bunch of Scourges in opening hands. And our opponents did a grand total of, like, -7 damage to themselves. Watch a little of Spike's deck, see how much that shows up in leagues. What's Spike playing? So we kind of talked about it earlier, about Scourge being this variable threat because you can't guarantee that your opponent's going to deal damage to themselves. So you have to play spells that let you push damage through your opponent. Sprite Dragon is the same way a lot of the times. Like, Sprite Dragon with the proactive red spells is fantastic. We see it out of Prowess. Card pulls a lot of weight. Sprite Dragon in a Fatal Push, Dismember, Drown in the Lock, Stubborn Denial deck, infinitely less so. Because, again, there's just no guarantee that our opponent's going to play out creatures. They could, but then we run into Amulet Titan and they don't. Or something similar. Control and they don't. And Sprite Dragon's just like a 1/1, maybe a 2/2 chipping in here and there. Inverter Soul Herder. Inverter Soul Herder. What is that even? Is it like Soul Herder Inverter so you can like play out a value Thassa's Oracle early and then Inverter later, Soul Herder your Oracle? So that's pretty sweet. Whether it's good or not, no idea, but I'm guessing it would be like another Ephemerate deck. Esper Inverter Herder. It's fun to say if nothing else. Esper Inverter Herder. Alright, so we'll see what Spike's up to. Inverter, Oust, yep, Ephemerate, Thassa's Oracle. So yeah. Basically, he's got 2 Thassa's Oracles here. Or no, this one just wins. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would have to have like double removal spell here to not die to this one, but if you kill the Watcher, he gets back the second Oracle and just goes again. That is a Magic deck. Another deck with 4 Oriox in the sideboard. Oh boy. That's what we need, is more Oriox champion decks in Modern. Spike's a cool dude. I love his brews. Spike's a very cool dude. Like, I love hanging out on his channel. That being said, he plays a whole lot of decks that just wreck everything I want to play, so... Whether that's a good thing or a terrible thing, I don't know. But, yeah, like, so far with this deck, I've been underwhelmed. I can see how it would win a challenge, especially if you saw a bunch of creature matchups. Not taxes, but it's probably got a pretty good Heliod matchup. Just like the amount of removal. Pilot said he didn't really like the deck and got lucky. I'd believe it. I would believe it. Like I said, I played the deck through a league on Saturday and trophied with it. But I just never felt like the deck was doing anything particularly strong. And like Tron with Leyline, like, come on now. What are we really doing here? No, this is game 2. Not that that makes it better. Pretty sure they win this one pretty handily, because when you have Leyline plus Nat-Tron plus payoff, it's pretty easy scoop. Like, oh, isn't Tron a good matchup? Depends on who's playing the shadow side of it, because if I'm playing the shadow side of it, Tron's a horrible matchup. Seems so much worse than Veil in this meta. Possibly. I don't play any Leyline of Sanctity decks, so I can't comment too much. Here, do we have a new Strixhaven spoiler? More expansions. Strixhaven. Where'd you go? Is that on Goldfish? Or was it on Twitch? Looked like a new Kasima Planeswalker. It was like blue-green. Where did that thing go to? No, I stopped paying attention. Somewhere. Let's see. Deck is okay, but Stub, Scourge, and Shadow aren't going to always be turned on when you want. Right? Like, we've seen 3 straight matches where Scourge just looked abysmal. And that's not what you want out of a 4-round match where Scourge is like one of your 2 primary threats. And kind of the strength of a lot of these other Shadow decks, we'll take like Jund for example, is your plan between your Scourge being online or your Shadow being online or whatever is good. Like with this deck, this Grixis deck we're playing today, if your Delver's not online or you can't get your Scourge online, the deck's just like not doing anything good in the meantime. With these other builds, if you're not low enough on life to play Death Shadow, you've got Hex Drinkers, you've got Tarmogoyfs, you've got Lavamancers. You don't feel like you need to point a bolt at your opponent because you've got a lot of good threats that you can draw into, and those will kind of tide you over. But with this list, it feels like if you don't see one of these, you're pretty underpowered, unless you see like triple Delver like we saw earlier. If you don't see one of those, you're underpowered, and then if you're waiting to turn one of these online for some reason, like, what's your backup plan? We added... Okay. The play that is starting to become, like, one of my top 3 most feel-bad plays in Modern is turn 3 add Lurrus to your hand. Like, I feel like if I'm adding Lurrus to my hand, I'm probably losing the match. And that probably shouldn't be the case a lot of the time, but I feel like if my main deck isn't carrying its weight, then Lurrus probably isn't going to be enough to just suddenly turn that around. In this deck, I think it's happened multiple times that I've had to, like, turn 3, sit there with, like, a Scourge in my hand and had to add Lurrus to my hand. Alright, so I want to get down Delver turn 1. So best case scenario would be see like, is it Dismember? No, that's Shock. Never mind. So we'll just check out your hand. Stomping Ground. So I think I'm just going to play as if they don't have a second Lightning Bolt. If they do, they do, but like I'm sitting here with a very, very reactive hand. And if they just go something like Ren and 6 here, and I don't get to cast my spells, then I'm not getting in a better position. So I'd rather make them have the lightning bolt right now. If they got it, sucks. Couldn't do anything about it. Except not play my Scourge, which, like, doesn't put me in a better position. What is this? Path to Exile. Well, it was not a lightning bolt. Can confirm, was not a lightning bolt. Fairy Wren Omnath. I guess we're taking it to Fairy. So is this just 4-color Omnath? Yep. I'm pretty sure that I scryed you to the bottom. Yep. So that's twice on Serum Visions that we've scryed something to the bottom and drawn that thing. Scryed exactly Tarn to the bottom, drew it. Earlier we scryed a Delver to the bottom and drew it. I'm remembering your tricks, deck. Valakut. So it's like 3-color Scape Shift. 4-color Scape Shift. Alright, so I'm going to go for Luris Bauble. I could play a Delver here, but I would rather have access to removal for Omnath. Money Tribal continued. Money Tribal 2, even moneyer. Coming to a theater near you. That's a lot of fatal pushes. Alright, so we'll fetch and shock a Blood Crypt. Omnath enters, trigger on the stack. Let's fatal push this gentleman. You have a removal spell for my Luris. Nope. So we need like a Shadow here, a Scourge, something a little bit better than a Delver. Cryptic, and their next card they're drawing is Remand. So on the bright side, they've got like nothing going on either. Do I have to Battle Rage Lurrus to kill this? I think I do. As much as I hate this with a passion. I just like can't have them cycling through this triome over and over again. We got a Yahtzee of hand disruption spells. Or not hand disruption, removal spells. It's funny I beat Adnals when they went for Oracle Spoils with Grace because they sided out all their packs for pushes. Just disputed Oracle. Nice. Alright. So... guess I'm getting my bauble value first. Attack in. Cast a Delver. Yep. Recast a Delver. There you go. On your upkeep, I'll bauble myself. So I've got Revolt for their turn. Omnath comes down, eats a Fatal Push. Do they mainboard Verdict? I don't think so. I think it's just like Remands, Cryptic, Ren to Fairy. Probably Path, Bolt, stuff like that. Alright, so Dispute's great. Disdainful Stroke's great. Aether Gust is great. Stubborn Denial's great. Snapcaster is a possibility. But what if they Uro and gain life? Delver seems really bad on the draw against Ren and 6. Death Shadow win at 19 life. Do you remember? Is it this one? Nope. No, it is somewhere. Where are you? Where did you go to? There. Death Shadow win at 20 life. Perfect victory. Flawless victory. For you Mortal Kombat fans out there. Go away. I think that's the only time I've won a game with Shadow at 20 life. Kano wins. Goro is victorious. Fatality. Tried this deck yesterday and it's so weird. It feels like it shouldn't work, but it does. That's a pretty good way of looking at it. Like, the experience I had with it when I ran it through a league on Saturday was the deck is synergistic, but individually not very powerful cards. Yeah. So I'm Serum Visioning here instead of Thoughtseize, because if my opponent's like repping Veil of Summer there, which they may or may not have, I would rather just cast my Serum Visions, let them hold their Veil, and go to turn 2 before making any action on this Thoughtseize. If they don't have a Veil and they just go for like Ren and 6 here, then I get like a free Thoughtseize regardless. So there is the Ren. Which means I think I'm just going for Scourge here. Or I guess I could go Thoughtseize into, yeah, I guess Thoughtseize into removal's better. So they did have the Veil. Guess I gotta take that. Gotta take the one you can't beat, right? This hand really makes me wish that I had played out the Scourge last turn. But can't do anything about it now. Our goal is just to get Scourge down and start seeing if we can interact a little bit. I'm going to counter this. Why do you have Lightning Helix too? I've got to get this Veil out at some point. Might as well be now. So I need a land this turn so that I can gust the Ren plus get Lurrus in the hand. They could have drawn another Veil here, but I've got to give myself the high upside play. Alright, deck. Yep. Alright. I'm playing Bauble here instead of Scourge for two reasons. One, I get to hold up Disdainful Stroke. And two, if they just have like a Lightning Helix and Helix my Luris, I just get completely blown out there. I would have to like Fetch Shock. I couldn't even Fetch Shock and Dismember. I don't have the life total for it. But this is like the kind of matchup that's typically a fantastic match for like Grixis Shadow. Blizzard Fretwell, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having a fantastic Monday morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're at in the world. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mountains. So as long as this gets a mountain, then Valakut's online. Yep. Kill my Luris. Which means I need to find like exactly a shadow off of this. Am indeed, my man. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Thank you for the kind comments. Glad to hear everything's going well in your neck of the woods. Shadow plus Battle Rage. Or do they just have double bolt? Almost. Not quite. Alright, on the play, Delver gets a lot better. What gets worse? Probably something like that. Hope everything's a-okay wherever you are. I can't complain. Like, we would like the matches to be going a little bit smoother, but it happens. You know those cards come in old border now? Which ones? I've got the old border Dismembers. I just haven't like swapped them out here. The Thoughtseizes are like 30 ticks a piece, so I'm not getting those anytime soon. I guess this is okay. I've got the Disdainful Strokes as well. I just haven't swapped them out for every deck yet. But if we go over to boom, boom, and then something like that. Got the old Disdainful Strokes. Got the old Battle Rages. The Gurmags. I think that's about all I've picked up. Waiting on Thoughtseize. They're just going to keep going up. Probably. But I don't think they're worth 30 ticks a piece. So I'm not going to buy them yet. Took me long enough to pull the bullet, or bite the bullet, pull the string on Scourge of the Skyclaves. So I'm terrified that they're just going to come out and say like, yeah, we're releasing a Magic Online only set of like old border Shocklands and old border enemy fetches. Old border Bauble. We're going to call it From the Vault Death Shadow. Don't kill my Delver opponent. Please. Please, no. I will admit, in situations like this, Delver does put a little bit of an awkward strain on your opponent. Like, do you fetch shock, bolt the Delver, and then potentially, like, allow your opponent to drop a Scourge? Or do you let the Delver hit you, save the bolt for the Scourge? Alright, so since Bauble saw Stubborn Denial, we want to put the Bauble trigger on the stack first. Let the Delver trigger resolve first. Reveal the Stubborn Denial. Flip the Delver. Then draw our extra card off of Bauble. We'll go ahead and get our fetch out of the way so we can Serum Visions. Alright, let's go draw Scourge, then draw Lightning Bolt. I was thinking save Bauble for fetch, but staggering the triggers is nice. It just helps to like flip the Delvers, because if you see a non-creature or a non-land creature spell, non-land non-creature spell on top, something that doesn't flip Delver on top, you can draw that card and then see the next card to potentially reveal the Delver. Just lets you dig a little bit deeper for that trigger. And since I have like nothing else going on in this hand, like I'd rather go ahead and flip the Delver. Upkeep, bolt my Delver. Okay. So I'm drawing Scourge. Had to tune out for a bit. What game is this? This is match 4, game 3. So the last game of the preliminary. Alright. So now we've got a ferocious Scourge of the Skyclaves. They could have, like, Path plus Veil here. What's OP on? They're on the 4-color non-black Omnath deck. Alright, am I bolting before damage? Yes. So, like, Alright. If the Helix resolves, which it's not going to before anybody starts yelling at me, Scourge takes 3. They gain up to 19. Scourge dies due to state-based actions. I can bolt them. They go to 13. Scourge becomes a 7/7. Helix gains them up to 16. They take 4. And they go to 12 anyway. Is that right? Yes. If I Stubborn Denial and Bolt. Smearabido coming in with the 8-month resub. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of the support and help with the channel. I'm trying to figure out, like, what is my best chance of killing them next turn. And I think it's just Bolt Stub this. And just, like, say, I've got lethal next turn. Like, if they got Bolt, or, the Helix plus Path plus Stub, or not Stub, plus Path plus Veil, and lands and payoffs, like, yeah. I've got to kind of pick a poison that I don't think they have. And the reason I went for the Stub Bolt play there was, to me, them casting Helix there into a potential Stubborn Denial means that I don't think they have Path plus Stub. Because I think if you have Path plus Stub, you Path plus Veil. I think you Path Veil there instead of Helix. I want to go to sleep at night to the sweet sound of Control Freak working through combat map. Maybe we should make a CD. That'd be great, right? Alright. So, what do we think about the deck list there? Again, it still feels like super, super underwhelming. Just, I think Modern's a format where, for the most part, unless you're attacking something very specific, synergy is kind of dead. Like, just being synergistic in a deck, I don't think is enough to win. I think you do still have to have, like, individually powerful cards, which is the main reason I don't like playing Monastery Swiftspear in Shadow builds. And to me, that's kind of how Delver feels. It's not an individually powerful card. Exact same way with Swiftspear. If you see it in multiples and you're drawing spells, it's great. But if you're not seeing it in multiples and you're not drawing spells, it's very, very underwhelming. They could have been playing around double stub, but yeah, it's usually better to make them have it as the aggressor. I mean, they could. It's possible. But that means they would have already seen, like, answer Bolt for the Delver, Helix for the Scourge, Path for the Scourge, plus Veil and lands. And, like, at some point I've got to accept that I'm not beating all of that. And I think I would rather just say, like, alright, I'm going to kill you next turn if you don't have exactly all of that. I'm not just replacing Hex with Delver. This list is also cutting Goyf for stubs. Pretty much, yeah. Like, it's replacing proactive threats. Like, they can proactive threats that can take over the game on their own, which is what Hex Drinker and Tarmogoyf both are. But, like, Delver's not a proactive threat that's very likely to take over the game on its own. And Stubborn Denial is great, don't get me wrong, but you're playing it with Delver that's never going to be ferocious for Stubborn Denial. Scourge, which may or may not be, but you can't guarantee it. Shadow, which usually is, but we barely saw any shadows that entire league. It's always an interesting decision when you have the option to take a safer line, but you can sacrifice it to have a faster clock. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to, like, what are the odds that your opponent has something. I think Swiftspear and Sexual Hexual are fine in the aggro builds, right? I think so. Like, I think if you're really wanting to go heavy on the one drops, then those are, like, your two best options. Yeah, like, Swiftspear is good in the Rakdos decks. I have no real issue with it there. But I don't like Swiftspear in, like, the Tarmogoyf decks. But, like, my favorite line out of these is being able to curve Swiftspear Bauble on 1 into, like, Night's Whisper on 2. And to me, that feels like one of the best lines that this deck has access to. Oh man, that Croxa is sexual. It is a pretty sweet Croxa. If nobody's heard the discovery we made, these Croxas are like 9 ticks. The normal set ones are like 21. So if you need to get Croxas, get these. Like less than half the price. See. Gotcha. Must have just misunderstood what you meant by not liking Swiftspear. Yeah, I just meant I don't like Swiftspear in, like, these builds. Like, I think Tarmogoyf is where you want to be in most of, like, the mid-range shadow builds. But, like, the quick aggro ones, it's fine. When can I get these in paper? Guy says April 2nd, so I'm going to go with that. Alright. So I know everybody's going to hate me for the bit of a short stream, but I've got unfortunately, adult work to do. So I'm going to send everybody over to Chuck, aka Basic Land Shark, who is currently playing some Modern Jund. So if you stick around, I would greatly appreciate it. Feel free to share some love from the channel. I appreciate everybody coming to hang out this morning for a little bit of an early, quick stream. Thank you all so much for the support, for the new followers, as well as the resubs and the new subs. Hope everybody has a fantastic rest of their Monday. Stay safe. Enjoy some good food, good company. And I will see everybody back tomorrow. Yeah, should be. So I will catch y'all later and enjoy Chuck's stream.